Yeah, if you give me 10, like do the just kind of give me a warning of 10 seconds or something and point, and I'm good.
For every segment?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let me know because I don't have the headphones. Do we have an extra set of headphones somewhere? Oh, I'm definitely gonna.
That's unfortunate. Here, we'll get it in a sec. We're going live soon.
Okay.
Are you able to hear still?
Um,
If not, you can use my headphones because I can hear from.
because there's two of the people are going to be calling in, so I'm definitely going to need some headphones for that.
Okay, I'll look for some
All right.
after this segment.
Shit, I didn't even think about bringing headphones.
Alright. So I'll count you down till 1 minute before the break, and then I'll put them back on there. There you go.
Good morning, everybody. This is Haggai Davis sitting in for Brian. If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw me had a glass fall off the counter. I broke some glass. Oops. Sorry, Brian. I'm breaking the studio, and I've only been on the air for 10 seconds. Good job, Haggai. All right, so I'm filling in for the next 2 days. Mornings with Haldane, without Haldane, because Haggai's in. We're going to try and have some fun here. Hope you having a good morning so far, bright and early. If you're out there on YouTube, good morning, YouTube. If you're not, you know, if you're driving around town, be careful. It's rather foggy out there. Going to have a good show today. We've got Miss Carmen Million from the BBB going to come in, talk about how not to get scammed here over the Christmas holidays. Professor Mark Benfield from LSU is coming in, talking about plastics in the river. We have Dave Knipe from the Volunteers of America going to be coming in, and also Tina Holland from FranU is going to come in and talk about what's going on over there. Going to be a great day. Going to have a lot of fun. Talk to some interesting folks and see what's happening. We'll also want to get into a little bit of what's happened in the news overnight if you haven't had the opportunity. So a couple of days ago was 225 Gives. Turns out we gave about $2.25 million to the nonprofits in this area, which I think is just absolutely exceptional. I'm a big believer in what the nonprofits do in this market. I've been involved with a lot of different nonprofits here in town, and just think that's really great. A lot of these, they do such good work here in the community, and to see that Baton Rouge is supporting these nonprofits, especially because over the past year and a half, I guess, almost 2 years now, where they've not been able to do a lot of fundraising. It's good to see that we're helping them who help those who are a lot less fortunate. Another big story, Paul Arrigo, the longtime head of the travel Visit BR, is going to retire next year. He's been there for 20 years, and Paul has done an amazing job of driving visitors to Baton Rouge, and excited that Paul's gonna enjoy some time off. Very proud of the work he's done. I like Paul a lot, and this is good news for him. Another big story, speaking of visitors to Baton Rouge, calling Baton Rouge is not just for LSU coaches. Garth Brooks is coming to Baton Rouge April 30th. Tickets are available. You can get out there, get you some tickets to go see Garth Brooks in Tiger Stadium, April 30th. Go see Garth. He puts on quite a show. I like Garth Brooks. That's the kind of music I like. We've had another couple of stories, unfortunate stories. A Baton Rouge area judge grandson died after falling off a balcony at Pat O'Brien's. And we also had some guy was arrested, 50 counts of child pornography. And there's a special place in hell for people like that, in my opinion. And, hope he finds it soon. Or that's what's going on so far in the news overnight. I'm Haggai Davis, sitting in for Brian. We'll be back after a few minutes with a couple of commercials.
Whenever you're not doing the interview, usually when it's me and Brian just kind of carries and I just do my job when you talk.
Right.
But if you want me to talk, I can.
Oh, please do. Please feel free to interject.
Okay. Just a heads up though, with news, politics, and policy, I'm not very knowledgeable.
That's okay.
So I won't comment on things I don't understand.
Do you want to send an email to somebody who can bring a broom or a vacuum?
I guess Cade.
Yeah, probably like Kate now. I got screwed up and broke the studio. All right. All right, YouTube, how am I doing so far? Byron, that's funny. I've actually been called the Hackster quite a lot during my lifetime.
Was it a sloppy game? Never saw.
I tuned in. LSU was up by, I don't know, I think it was 27-10 when I was able to flip over and see it, and I was like, okay, this one's in the books.
I did see the halftime speech, and I was pumped afterwards. I mean, he said all the right things, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're supposed to say. But, I mean, you have a winning mentality. Doesn't matter where you're from. You're going to fit in at LSU.
Win the press conference. Win the early couple of days.
And then you're good. You're good until the season starts.
You got a honeymoon.
Yeah. I can only imagine how exhausting press must be at that time. Because everybody wants the scoop. Everybody wants to hear from you. So you're probably doing media event after media event.
Pay me $100 million and I'll do a lot of it.
I'd happily do the same thing for the same price.
Yep.
But dang, if you're ain't tired when you hit that bed every night. All right. So we have a live read at in between an interview.
Okay.
I'm gonna say let's just do it the segment before, because there is no interview and that'd be perfect timing.
You the pro here. I'm the amateur.
Once we hit the next break, we'll have more time, especially the one after that, at the halfway point of the hour. I can definitely find some headphones by then.
All right. Is it as easy as walking down the hall? Would Eagles Studio have some, you think?
Probably. But we're about to go back on air.
Okay. Yeah, at the next break, either one of us will walk down.
I will definitely go get it.
All right, perfect.
All right. Sports time coming up. I'm going to be out at 20. You got 5 minutes.
Perfect.
You can give me a cue whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Okay, everybody. Welcome back once again. This is Haggai Davis sitting in for Brian Haldane, and we're going to do a little sports. And the big news in the sports world this week, obviously, I'm here hosting for Brian because I turned down the contract to coach LSU football. I was holding out. I was holding out for $125 million, and
They couldn't do it.
Woodward wouldn't do it. Nope, he wouldn't. So
Pinchers,
they settled on Coach Kelly because he took $95 million in incentives. So sorry, Haggai, we're not paying you the $125 you're demanding. So we're going a different direction.
You were overqualified for the job. Let's be real.
I think so. I mean, I'm a fan. I can sit there and watch it on TV and certainly know more than these.
We all know that we could do better than anybody they hire, right?
Absolutely, and that's why I think I deserved the $125 million I was holding out for.
It happens, but last Brian Kelly got the job.
Yes, I guess. We'll go with him, sure. Very excited to have Coach Kelly on board. Looking forward to a great run. That's real exciting, and to have a coach of his caliber. Just so looking forward to that. Some other big news out there: the LSU basketball team is now 8-0. They beat Ohio last night. It was rather a blowout in the first half, and it was a 17-point win, I think, towards the end of the game, something like that, 15, 17 points. This is a good team, folks. They really, really know how to play defense. They get some rebounds. They can shoot. I mean, this is a fun team to watch. Looking forward to them. If you're a Major League Baseball fan, well, the owners have locked out the players. They're in a contract negotiation. The Major League Baseball Players Association did not agree to the new contract with the owners. So there's no baseball right now in the month of December because there's a lockout.
What?
And there's, by the way, no baseball in December.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball guy. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well,
You had me for a second.
They don't play baseball again until April. So we've got a little bit of time to do some more negotiating. The pitchers and catchers don't show up to training camp until February, and the rest of the team in March. So we've got a little bit of time. This is a whole bunch of showboating that, we locked out those players. We're going to show them we're owners, and that's just great. Congratulations on playing that game of showmanship, I guess, if you'll call it that. So Coach Kelly is not bringing his defensive coordinator with him. Marcus Freeman is staying on at Notre Dame as their head coach. And that's too bad. I was kind of hoping he was going to come along, but if he's what Notre Dame wanted, good for them. Good for him. Somebody needs to coach Notre Dame. Might as well be him, because it's not going to be me. They're not going to pay me the $125 million either. So,
I mean, they were saying after the reports of Brian Kelly getting hired, they wanted him to bring some of his coordinators with, but he must have been really good if Notre Dame wanted to give him the big bucks.
Yeah, I think I remember them saying that he was the coach in waiting or something like that, coach designee or something, and that's great. If that's what they wanted and they were building towards, I'm just happy to have Coach Kelly here at LSU. The assistants that he brings in, I trust he's going to do a great job in bringing some amazing folks, and we'll go from there. Coach Kelly did have the press conference yesterday, and he did speak at the basketball game last night, and this guy he's winning right now. He's got everybody excited. He is saying all the right things, and everybody's so excited to see him. You bring in somebody with this kind of talent, this kind of record, it's going to be a good thing.
I mean, you come to LSU with a winning mentality, you're going to be accepted.
And a winning record. The way he has won is just so exciting. So we'll be back after a few minutes here on Mornings with Haggai.
Nice. The nice thing about this is that you're sticking real hard to the script, so I can actually, I know exactly when to go to get these audio files. I'm gonna go get the stuff now.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so let's see what we're doing out there. How we doing, boys and girls? Oh, awesome! Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh my god. I love at the end of an advertisement, they just have some dude speaking at a very fast rate. Sometimes you'll hear people go through multiple paragraphs in like 5 seconds. I'm like, is anybody even understanding that? More often than not, I'd say no. Alright, for this segment, I'm going to put the live read at the end, so I'm going to cue you out for 30. Do you know what you're talking about this segment?
What do we got here? This is another 6 minutes, 5 minutes.
We're going to have, yeah, about 6 minutes.
I'm going to talk about my trip to New York City.
Go for it. And if you want to keep talking about Brian Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I can weigh in on that if you need to fill up the time.
Yeah. Ooh, that ain't the road. Ooh, I need to take that one. That's not the Rotary Club.
One sec. You about ready? Alright. Let's go.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. This is HAGGAI Davis sitting in for Brian, who's out for a couple of days. So last week was Thanksgiving week. My family and I, my oldest, my co-host on Tech Gumbo with me, is a student up at NYU. So my wife and our youngest, we went up to New York City for a week and just had a ball. My little Fitbit here tracks my steps. Between Sunday through Thursday, I walked 37 miles
Oh my gosh.
around the city of New York. We did the subways we bought the week-long pass just as much as you want, and we walked through Central Park. We did the World Trade Center. We went up the Empire State Building, the 30 Rock, the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island. We saw the Book of Mormon, the play,
wow.
and it's so funny.
So it sounds like it did the rounds.
Oh, we did, and if you're easily offended, the Book of Mormon is not something you want to go see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really funny, but man, they take shots at just everybody. it's great. And we ate. God, we ate so much. We ate Japanese, Korean, we ate Spanish, we ate street tacos one day. I mean, it was.
Love me a good street taco.
We ate so many different things, a lot of Italian food, and I ate ramen for the first time.
First time?
Yes, you didn't know what ramen was, and it was really, really cool. I had Korean food one night. I mean, we just went through the whole, as many different kind of places as we could eat. Since my son's lived up there for a couple of years, he considers himself, one of the locals now.
Cultured, if you will.
But he was kind of our built-in tour guide, and so that was a lot of fun. We just saw so many different things, and I've always known that New York City is a very international town. They're an international city. I didn't realize how international it really is. You walk any block in Manhattan, and you're going to hear 5 different languages within a 1 block space. And the amazing thing about it, the language you hear the least when you're walking through Manhattan is English.
Really?
Yes. Very seldom do you ever hear anybody else speaking English. I mean, you can hear somebody from the Middle East, from Scandinavia, from Asia, from East Asia, from Central America. You just hear all the different cultures, all the dialects. It just you hear French, you hear German, you hear so many different languages. You hardly ever hear anybody else speaking English.
It's a big old melting pot of culture right there.
It was so fascinating, and I grew up in Morgan City, a little bitty bayou town. Baton Rouge is not exactly a real metropolis either. And you go to a big place like that, and you're expecting, to feel like, oh my God, who's going to kill me first? I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt unsafe, which I was very surprised with. Even riding on the subways was, and just actually, it was very easy. And I mean, there was one time where we got stuck. The train stopped for about 10 minutes. The conductor came on and said, the train that's in front of us, that's in the station, we have to wait for them to clear. There was an assault on that train, and the police are escorting that person off that train. This train's safe. As soon as that train has cleared the station, then we can move again. And so, that wasn't our train, so we were obviously safe. It was a really, really fascinating place to visit. I'd been there a couple of times, but never spent that much time in New York like this. And just to see the Statue of Liberty, to be there, to go through Ellis Island, and it just was really a really cool thing, and highly recommend go visit New York City, but then come back home to Baton Rouge, because that's certainly what I did. This is Haggai sitting in for Brian. We'll be back in a few minutes after these commercials. Did I get out too early?
That was my bad.
Okay.
I was ready to go into CBS, but I got out a minute early to put on the live read. We're both learning at the same time here.
And you're going to handle the phone. You're going to handle the phones because
Mhm.
Carmen's going to be.
They're going to call in?
Yeah, Carmen's calling in. Let's see. Carmen's calling. Mark is coming in, and Dave's coming in, and then Tina's going to call in. So.
Wait, say that one more time.
Carmen's going to call. Carmen and then Tina are both going to be calling, but Mark Benfield and Dave Knipe are both coming to the studio.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So they're going to call in. They have the number, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to queue on the phone there? I can call, like, they'll call me. I'll answer, put them on hold. You know how to queue them in on live?
You need to bring them up because I mean, I'm going to hit the wrong button.
I've never done that, actually.
All right. Hey, T-Bob.
Morning, T-Bob.
So hopefully that you can figure that out because
All right, that's
I've never done that.
all right. We'll figure it
Brian
out.
always does it. But there's only one of two buttons I can think of pushing.
Yeah.
So we should be fine. Oh, sugar. We're good. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. There we go.
Yeah, they're going to be calling in on the 499-1073 number, the hotline.
Wait. Next time you mention a number, tell me beforehand. I'll kill your mic. It's okay. You said 499-1073. That's none of these. You just made that up, did you? Okay. Because the hotline is 40.
All right. Maybe that is the main line. That's the main talk line, not the hotline. Please.
Talk 107.3. Yes, good morning, Carmen. How are you? Doing well, thank you. We're going to be live in just a couple minutes, and then we'll get you on. Thank you. Please hold. Should I let her know when we test something? Because if I drop her, I don't want her. Yo, Carmen, are you there? Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to test something out real quick, and it may potentially drop the call, and if so, please just show us.
But if things like billing, HR, timekeeping, and all the other management stuff turn your dream into a nightmare, take charge of your practice with Lexicon. We're the intersection of practice management software and legal support services for your firm. You'll get more billable and livable hours back. Lexicon marks the spot for all your
Easy. Yeah, so I called the guy, and the voicemail was just, and then huge pause, I was about to say something, and then it's just at the tone. Please, who records a voicemail like that? Well, he's not there, so we'll have to figure something out. Oh. There should be a broom and dustpan by the back door or in a closet by the mailboxes on the first floor. While your interview's going on, I'll just go get that. You're going to get out at 47. Clock should be up there, so you can pay attention to that as well if I'm not here.
Perfect.
By the way, all right, here we go.
Okay, everybody, welcome back once again. This is Haggai Davis sitting in for Brian Halliday, and we have a guest for this half-hour segment. We're going to be joined by Miss Carmen Million. She's the president CEO of the Better Business Bureau of South Central Louisiana. Carmen, you there? Carmen?
Good morning,
Oh,
Haggai.
there we go. Okay. Still working out. I'm still learning how to use the phone over here.
I'm here.
Oh, well, good. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How about you?
Doing just fine. So excited to be hanging out here on the radio and have you spend some time with us. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. My favorite holiday, nothing but family, friends, and conversation and good food.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay, so let's get started here. Obviously, the Better Business Bureau, you guys do tremendous work over there. What are some things that, now that we're in the Christmas season, because Thanksgiving is over with, I don't consider Christmas season to start until now. I'm one of those. What are some things that people need to do to take care of themselves as we come up on this Christmas season?
Well, you know, the Better Business Bureau always recommends that consumers start by making a list of the things that they want and they need. They need to set a budget. They need to investigate the companies that they're going to purchase from. And, of course, we all know that, especially in the pandemic, more and more people are doing business online. So you just really need to make sure when you shop online that you shop safely.
And so by shopping safely, what's that mean when you're out there online, you're going to just any site that has offers that you can just go buy from any site, right?
Right. First of all, you need to price check before you buy, and you need to investigate the company or the site that you're wanting to purchase from. You want to make sure that it's a valid and safe site. It should tell you how it's going to protect your information. It should have in the address, HTTPS, S for secure. If there's a lock and key on the bottom of the site, actually click on that lock and make sure it's activated. Those are just some simple, no-nonsense things you can do. Read the company's policies. I think the biggest mistake that consumers make is they don't understand what the policies are. If you purchase something and you change your mind, what do you have to do to get the product back to them? What is the refund and return policy? You need to know that before you actually click on purchase. Another thing, and this is another simple tip that the Better Business Bureau always gives, is if you're going to purchase something online, make sure you use a safe payment program such as PayPal. And if all else fails, use a credit card. That way, if you don't receive the merchandise or it's defective, you can dispute the charge before it comes out of your account.
Yeah, typically you definitely don't want to just give up your banking information or do direct drafts or things like that from checking accounts. Those are...
Absolutely. And people actually use, this is amazing to me, they'll use their debit card, which takes it directly out of their account, or they use a gift card. That's like cash.
Right.
And so once you do that, you may not get it back.
That's not a good idea. I mean, I would never have thought to even use a debit card, even though it's a Visa debit card. Wow, okay. I guess I've been a little bit different of an online shopper. Are there more preferred shop or preferred websites that you can go through versus others that the BBB has kind of concerns about?
Well, first of all, if you're searching online, there are going to be pop-ups that come up and show you. Don't click on those pop-ups until you investigate those companies. You want to stick with well-known companies. There's also nothing wrong with searching local companies that have websites. We obviously are going to encourage you to try to shop local, keep the money here. So most of the companies here have their own websites, so you need to shop those websites or just stick with well-known websites, but check the website and make sure that you didn't click on a pop-up, that you actually went to the site yourself and you're shopping on the correct site. Unfortunately, scammers are looking for opportunities to take advantage of people. And because of the pandemic, we know that a larger number of the consumers out there are shopping online. So they're waiting to take advantage of you. So be very cautious. Look at the entire site. You need to go to bbb.org, check the company out, look at their rating, and look for things like misspellings or deals that sound too good to be true. Those are all warning bells that are telling you that you need to be cautious.
I love that information. We on my little show Tech Gumbo, we've talked about those types of things, and that simple reminder of making sure that the website has an S in the address, the HTTPS, and then also looking for those keys that if it looks wrong, if it just doesn't look right, trust your gut on those things, because if it looks wrong, it probably is. When punctuation errors, grammatical errors, misspellings,
absolutely.
A real business that a credible business is not going to have major errors like that, and so
that's correct. And I always tell consumers, it's as simple as this. If you're on a site and you have that little funny feeling in your belly that something's wrong, listen to it. It's never going to steer you wrong. Take a second, don't make a rash decision. Do your homework before you make the purchase, and you'll save yourself some headache.
Is there some level of protection that when you do use credit cards? What's that? Is it like $50 or something like that, or is it buy a credit card kind of thing?
in most companies, and that's another thing that's a good thought, is if you are going to use your credit card, you need to look at your policy on your credit card. Usually in the back of your bill, it'll tell you that if you were charged something and you didn't authorize it, or if there's a mistake or there's an issue, it will tell you how to dispute it. And in most cases, credit cards will only charge you a $50 fee, whereas if you use your debit card and it goes directly from your bank, the cash has been removed, and the bank is going to try to help you, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer and it's a little bit harder to do. And so you want to make sure that, and that's why it's so important that you use a credit card or PayPal, where there's some kind of protection that's not going to cost you a huge amount of money.
So we have about a minute left in this segment. If, let's say we just went through 225 gives here a couple of days ago, and but if you missed out on that opportunity and you were looking to be charitable with some donations over the next couple of weeks leading up to Christmas or end of the year for tax purposes, whatever, what are some tips to do when you're doing that?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're considering making a donation to a charity, you need to investigate the charity. I always tell people, if you give money and it makes you feel good, but the money didn't go to the cause, you've defeated the purpose of giving. So it's your responsibility as a consumer to monitor your giving, to make sure that the organization is going to receive the money. If there's a professional promoter, what percentage they will get. There's always going to be some sort of overhead, but you want to make sure the majority of your money actually goes to the cause. You can check organizations out, and if they meet our standards at give.org, it's the best thing to do to protect yourself.
That's really, really important, because when you're trying to be charitable with your donations and want to take care of, or help out on some of these nonprofits, make sure your money does get where it's going. Don't fall prey to some of these scammers. Absolutely.
You want to give with your heart, but you want to give with your head also.
Oh, I like that line. That's a good one, Carmen. Thank you. I have to remember
You're welcome.
that one. Okay, we're going to break here for just a second, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about refunds and exchanges. So right now, you're listening to Mornings with Brian Haldane. I'm Haggai Davis sitting in for him, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Carmen, we're going to put you on hold for a minute. Yeah, the guy's going to have to come up with the vacuum to get the rest of these. But at least the biggest parts are out of the way. All right, I'm going to run downstairs, let the guest in. There, if you want to come sit over here, this is fine. Either way. is where the magic happens.
So, because we got a minute over, we're going to have a minute on the back end. So, once this is done at 52, I'm playing traffic for a minute, and then we're going to go back in. So, we have the same segment, just 1 minute less. We're going to be out at 59:50.
Perfect. Facebook, or YouTube rather, Christian said you're going to New York City. So if you go to New York City, you can get a week-long pass on the subway. It's like 30 or 35 bucks a piece. Unlimited access to the subways. If you're going to be there for several days, highly encourage you to do that. It was great. And we very, very seldom ever, Byron, there was never a time when we saw an empty street car or subway car. Even, I think the latest ride we had one night was maybe 11:30 one night. Nah, it wasn't even that late. It was 10:30. But there were 20 million people in that area. There always somebody. No problem. Let's see. So, how's everybody else doing on YouTube out there this morning? Troy, you had Troy with the tick fall. Brother-in-law lives in Tickfall. Let's see. Okay, boys and girls. Okay, we're back here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. I'm Haggai Davis, sitting in for Brian Haldane, and we have Carmen Millian, the President CEO of the Better Business Bureau, on the show with us this morning. So, Carmen, we left off with if you were going to get, we're talking about gift refunds and exchanges. What are some things that we need to do with or be concerned about there?
Well, Haggai, the biggest thing that consumers need to understand, it is each store has a right to their own refund and return policy. There is no rule that says a company has to take something back unless it has been deemed defective or the sale was misleading. Other than that, it's the store's policy. So what we want consumers to know is it's actually their responsibility to find out what the store policy is before they make that purchase. Just because some of the big chains take everything back doesn't mean everybody else is going to. This eats up companies' resources and their money if they have to keep taking items back because people, have buyer's remorse. So what we want consumers to do is before you make a purchase, especially if it is a gift, is find out if I don't like it, if, it doesn't fit, if whatever the case may be, can I take it back and can I get a full refund? And in most cases, if there's nothing wrong with the item, they will charge you a restocking fee. And if it is a sell item, they may not take it back at all. So you need to ask those questions before you make the purchase.
So you're saying the terms and conditions are important?
I know, it's amazing. And most stores will publish that, especially during the holidays. But you need to ask about it. And then if you're purchasing it as a gift, ask for a gift receipt and make sure that whoever you're giving that gift to, they understand what the store's policy is so that they aren't embarrassed if they try to take it back for whatever reason. So you just need to know the rules before you make those purchases.
I love the BBB's message of, be informed on any decision that you're making. I think that's just such a great mindset to just don't go blindly into anything. Do a little bit of homework, do a little bit of research, and ask a few questions. I think that's awesome.
It's so simple. And if you don't know or you're not sure what questions to ask, contact the Better Business Bureau. We'll give you information to help you make an informed buying decision. But after the fact, sometimes it's hard, and we have to give you the bad news. And, that's not what we want to do.
And the BBB is not just about big businesses. It's about businesses all over, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, the majority of the businesses that support the Better Business Bureau are the local mom and pops. They are the ones that are the lifeblood of any area. So what we want the consumers to understand is that the Better Business Bureau not only helps consumers, but we help businesses. In fact, I always like to tell people, when they hear Better Business Bureau, they think all we do is take complaints, but actually the majority of what we do on a daily basis is give information on companies, whether they're local or, no matter what state they're in, and also advice on how to help you make an informed buying decision. That's what really the Better Business Bureau is about. And, of course, we act as mediators between situations.
And it's always, amazes me that people don't think about the BBB. It's such a vital organization, and it's more valuable today than it's ever been because you have so much more information you can pull together online.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I've been doing this for a long time, and the one thing I see is that people do think about the Better Business Bureau after they've been a victim or after they have an issue. And what we want you to do is call us ahead of time so that we can help you understand what your rights are before you make a decision, whether you're making a purchase on a new car, renting an apartment, whatever the case may be. Call us to know what your rights are before you hire somebody or before you make a purchase. The Better Business Bureau can only be as effective as you allow us to be. Call us first. Let us help you be informed.
Okay, and so what's the phone number? What's the web address? How do we get in touch with the BBB?
The web address is really simple. It's bbb.org. You can check on a company locally or anywhere in the United States. You can also file a complaint there. You can log a scam on our scam tracker. You can review companies. You can get a list of accredited businesses that meet and maintain our standards. You can also call at 225-346-5222.
And if your business is not BBB accredited, but you want to get into the good graces of the BBB, how does one go about that?
There's actually a link on our website that you can register, and we will vet you and determine if you meet our standards and invite you to become an accredited member. Or again, you can simply call our office again at 225-346-5222.
And that's just so good. And going to the website, bbb.org, is the easiest thing to do. Go to the website, plunk in the name of the company that you're looking for, and you'll be amazed at the information you can find. I love going to your website. I check it out all the time.
Right, and the thing is you can not only, it's probably more beneficial if you want to check on a company to go to our website, because you can actually read complaints and the company's responses and how those complaints were resolved, or reviews, whether they're positive or negative. That's
Carmen,
all on our website.
I got a hard break coming up here. I really want to thank you for spending some time with us.
Sure.
And remember, bbb.org.
That's it. Thank you, Haggai.
No, that's fine. Carmen's professional. She's okay. Okay, Mark. We got a couple of minutes here between segments. So, you sit there. You can manipulate that around to where you get comfortable. So we have our YouTube camera set this up just a little bit.
Okay.
Anywhere that you're comfortable here. The thing you want to do is make sure that you're gonna, if you want to talk to me, just have the mic between the two of us, kind of thing.
Okay.
Don't worry about YouTube out there. We just say hi, YouTube, and but it's just a conversation, and you don't want to be too far away from the mic, but you just want to be comfortable so that everyone can hear you.
Okay.
And so
You need to check the levels, or is this okay right here?
he's the one who does all that. As long as
You'll tell me to move closer if I need to.
yeah. So we're gonna go, and so here's our clock up here. I don't know if you can see it, but we'll go 7:05 to 7:12, and then 7:15 to 7:31, which I know you got hours that you can fill, so that's not going to be an issue.
Sir, test out your levels real quick. I'm doing RT. Hi. Let me test your levels real quick.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How's this sound? Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
All good.
Good.
All right, great.
How long you been filling in?
Well, today and tomorrow, I've been doing this for over 8 years now.
Oh, really?
I started 2014 in Tech Gumbo, my show. We started in 2014 as well, and just whenever they've needed somebody to talk about something to do with IT or telecom or some website or stuff like that, they brought me in as guest. And then when Brian will go on vacation or be out for a day, or last year when he had COVID, and a bunch of us sat in taking turns sitting in doing this for him, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
I have this is fun for me doing radio, because I have a great face for a radio, so I don't have to worry about what I look like on TV, despite YouTube out there. It's just, I grew up listening to talk radio, WWL in New Orleans with Hap Glaudy and those guys, way back in the day. That was what I listened to on radio a lot. I mean, yes, I listened to music as well, but I wanted to hear conversations more than just the same songs over and over and over and over. And so it kind of became a something fun to do, and it has continued to be fun to do. And so so that's how I got into doing this. I love this format. For about 6 years, I was on Channel 2 doing their tune-in. We had a recurring segment on tune-in, and then a lunchtime segment, and it was always, oh my God, there's 50 to 80,000 people across South Louisiana looking at me right now. Just never really felt good about that.
A little, daunting for sure.
Yeah, whereas this format, I mean, I can lay notes out in front of me, I can have my computer screen up, whatever I want to do kind of thing, so that, I don't have to worry about how I look on radio. And so it's an easier format to, I like to have conversations with people, and I like to listen and hear people who have great information, kind of like thing.
There's a whole constellation of stations in this building.
Yeah, there's the 4 stations. It kind of hits one of each. With the Eagle 98 and the country music and ESPN and the news talk format that this one is. It's a real good platform.
Cool.
Oh, perfect. we're also live on YouTube, and there's a bunch of people who type in some notes in the comment section. One of them, Troy's a buddy of mine, and read your credit card contract with a couple of giggles. That's like, really, whoever does that.
Exactly.
And, it's I love things like that.
I'll get you in on this one's a longer.
Right. Okay, everybody, welcome back once again. This is HAGGAI Davis sitting in for Brian. We have a great lineup, a great show going this morning, and we are joined now by Professor Mark Benfield from LSU. Mark, you're in which department is that again? The
Oceanography and Coastal Sciences. Yeah, it's part of the College of the Coast and Environment.
Mark and I met last spring, I guess, maybe last year, with the whole Mississippi Rivers Cities and Towns initiatives about trying to get plastic out of the river. And you had a great presentation at the Rotary Club earlier, and that's why I wanted to invite you on, because it's a message that more people need to hear about.
Well, thanks. It's nice to be here.
So let's start off with the obvious. Does Baton Rouge have a plastics pollution problem?
We definitely do. I think anyone who's driving around this morning is going to see it. You just have to start looking around, and we have a real trash problem here. And I don't think we're unique. I think most of the cities in the United States have a trash problem. It's just that, I've only lived in Baton Rouge. I haven't lived in comparably sized cities in the United States, so my perspective, my experience is here.
So you drive around, you see these Coke bottles and not to pick on Coca-Cola, just soft drink bottles and cans and things like that, plastic stuff. When you see that on the side of the road, it doesn't just stay on the side of the road, does it?
No, it doesn't. So, we get a lot of rain here, and we're fairly flat. And I like to think that almost all the trash that you see on our streets is 1 or 2 rainfalls away from starting a journey that'll take it to the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow, that's kind of a powerful statement, that you drive around, you see that soft drink bottle sitting there on the ground or can or whatever. It's not just going to stay there. I mean, it's going to go to the drains, it's going to get to the drainage canals and make its way on out into the Gulf Stream and get out in the Atlantic or wherever.
Yeah, and be there for thousands of years.
Which ends up in our food systems and everything else.
Correct. It's all connected.
So what happens to this plastic once it gets in the river?
So the majority of our plastic doesn't actually get into the Mississippi River. Some does, if you spill stuff down on the riverside of the levee. Most of Baton Rouge's trash winds up in our stormwater systems and, as you pointed out, gets into our drainage canals. And from there, it makes its way into a series of bayous that will ultimately take it into Lake Pontchartrain, and it enters the Gulf that route. So what happens to this stuff is, I think people have probably experienced this. You pick up an old piece of plastic, and it's kind of brittle. When ultraviolet light hits the plastic, it starts to break down some of the compounds in the plastic that give it its structure, and so it becomes brittle. And so the mechanical tumbling through the water, car running over it, someone running their lawnmower over it, any of those things are going to cause it to fragment into smaller and smaller pieces. And it's those little pieces of plastic that we call microplastics, things the size of a Mardi Gras bead or smaller.
And so when they get smaller and they get consumed by the fish in the sea, so to speak, that's what we wind up eating.
Indirectly, yeah. So the surface of the plastic will act like a sponge, and it will absorb organic pollutants, herbicides, pesticides, and then the fish eat it. Bigger fish eat the little fish, and then you catch yourself a nice speck or a redfish, and you could potentially be eating it.
We have about 30 seconds left here in this segment, and I know this is one of those topics that you could fill in an hour or two, probably a whole lecture series in a semester.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. When we get back, I want to talk about nurdles.
Sure.
I think nurdles is a fascinating concept, and it's a fun word to say, nurdles. And we'll talk more about it when we get back here on Talk 107.3 FM.
Well, you're really on a time tight. You got to synchronize everything.
It's usually like an individual news segment.
Mm-hmm.
But since we're not doing that for this show, we're having this interview, which usually takes next segment, which is about 15, 16 minutes. But we're taking the segment we just did plus that one, so this is actually going to be one of our longer ones.
Okay.
Yeah, this one goes 16 minutes. This next one,
Yeah.
so we'll have a
Good,
good long
good.
run.
This is where you're getting the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about radio. I remember as a kid, I grew up in Toronto, and at night I would listen to AM, and the ionosphere goes up, and you start to pick up stations from all over the country, all over North America. It was really fun.
Yeah, WWL being one of them, but also there's a station out of St. Louis. KMOX, I believe it is. But I used to listen to St. Louis Cardinals radio, baseball games, on the radio at night. And there was a handful of radio stations like that I'd sit in my room and when I get bored with music, flip over to AM and just listen to
Things coming in and out.
what stations were out there that you could, and you hear these guys or these people on the radio from all over the country.
Yeah.
It was just fascinating to me. I think this is such a fun medium to play with because you can have such a variety so quickly like we're doing now. I mean, we had Carmen Million from the BBB on now. We're talking about plastics. We're going to talk about the VOA after you, and then the Franciscan Ministries, FranU, the nursing school. So we can just bounce wherever we want to go, and I think that's really cool.
How do you know how many people are listening?
As long as there's one, that's all that matters to me. I mean, there's a few people watching right now on YouTube, but I don't know what the ratings are.
Nielsen must calculate it or something.
Yeah, I don't even know if Nielsen's still around or not. In the past, I think this show, it's, I don't know, 10,000 people at any given moment watching or listening rather. I mean, you got a lot of people driving around in their cars. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how many people are listening. Hell, it could be 100,000 people for all I know. I think it'd be great if there was. Okay, we're back here on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm HAGGAI Davis, sitting in for Brian Haldane, who is not in today, obviously. And we're talking about plastics in the water and why it's a problem. One of the big things that's a problem out there are nurdles.
Yeah, nurdles. It's a weird word, isn't it?
Yeah. So tell me, what is a nurdle and why is it a problem?
A nurdle is sort of a lentil-sized piece of raw plastic resin. So anything that's made of plastic starts out as a nurdle. And it's just a convenient way of shipping the product. They can pack lots of these pellets, and then they're shipped somewhere. They're melted down. They add plasticizers. They add colors. Put them in an injection mold, and out pops a cell phone case or a Lego.
And so you get these gazillions, because I'm guessing it's more than just a pack of 10 that gets shipped around.
Yeah, we're talking. They're shipped in containers, shipping containers or rail cars filled with hundreds of millions of these pellets.
Wow. And oh, by the way, we just dumped 100 of them, but nobody cares because it was just 100 nurdles.
Yeah, well, they're small. You know, they're the size of a lentil approximately, and they're usually colorless, white or transparent. But when they get spilled, and we've had some big spills in Sri Lanka in May, they lost 87 shipping containers worth about 1,700 tons of nurdles into the ocean.
Oh, gosh.
So, you know, that created an environmental disaster. These nurdles were being ingested by fish, by marine mammals, and a lot of marine life was washing up dead, not to mention all the nurdles washing up on the beach. You know, it doesn't snow in Sri Lanka, but it looked like snow.
Oh, God. And so the fish eat these things. They don't digest them.
Correct. So, you know, when a fish eats a nurdle or any of these little pieces of plastic, it feels like it's full. It gets a false sense of fullness, but it's not getting any nutrition from it. And so it's going to grow more slowly. And then these things can clog the digestive tracts of these smaller animals. And so that can lead to, you know, reduced growth and ultimately death.
And then the bigger fish eat the smaller fish, and now they've got the nurdles inside them. They digest whatever fish around the nurdles, but now they're full of nurdles.
Correct.
And then on and on and on and on up the food chain until we're eating nurdles.
Right, and as I mentioned earlier, when a piece of plastic like a nurdle is in the water, it's acting like a sponge. So it starts out, it's not toxic, but it's starting to build up a load of pollutants that can be very, very concentrated. And then when something eats it, all that stuff goes into the tissues of that animal.
Okay, so not only are they floating around acting like, you know, non-food things, but it's also absorbing toxins. So now it's a toxic filler.
Correct. So, you know, initially not toxic, but over time it becomes more and more toxic.
And so do these things break down in the sunlight, or over time do they start to break down?
Yeah, they'll break down under the influence of ultraviolet light and mechanical damage, but it's a slow process because they're usually spherical or cylindrical, and they don't have a lot of projection, so it takes a while for them to fragment. But ultimately, their fate will be to break down into millions of very tiny pieces of plastic.
But we're not talking a couple of days. This is over years or centuries?
Centuries to thousands of years, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So not this coming weekend, we don't have to worry about, you know, everything being, all the nurdles are gone by the end of the weekend, right?
No. So we had a spill in New Orleans last August, a year ago, last August, so in 2020. And there are still nurdles from that spill floating around and depositing on the riverbank.
Wow. So as fast as the river flows, rising levels and everything else, these things don't all just get automatically sucked out into the Gulf.
No, these were polyethylene, and it was a shipping container full, so it was a lot of nurdles, about 11 tons. And the ones that got discharged into the middle of the river probably entered the Gulf within a day or so. But a lot of them got caught up along the shore in eddies and meanders, got deposited in the rocks and the vegetation, and stranded there. And then every time it rains or the river rises, they get mobilized and move a little bit further down the river.
So how you know, when we're talking about the Mississippi, and this part of what we were doing last year with the Mississippi Rivers Cities and Towns Initiative, this is not just a Baton Rouge issue.
No, there's 200 million people living in the Mississippi River Basin. That's a lot of plastic if you think of it. All the cups and straws and bottles and bags that every individual handles in all those cities, most of them wind up in the river and they get carried to the Gulf and go right past Baton Rouge.
Yeah, we were doing a pilot program with the MRCTI last year where St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Louis, and Baton Rouge were the three cities trying to pick up trash or plastics along the river in and around the cities. And it was astounding to me how much trash we found just here in Baton Rouge, in there was maybe 50 or 75 people out picking up trash.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know that they'd done that a couple days later.
I know. That's so the corporate canal. That's one of the things that you guys have been studying at LSU, right?
Right, yeah. So the Corporation Canal flows down through Old South Baton Rouge, goes under LSU, emerges by the lakes, and then it becomes Bayou de Planchier. And the city of Baton Rouge has 3 booms that are floating across the Corporation Canal at different locations. And those are designed to trap floating debris, which they do, but they don't get cleaned out very often. And so after a while, it builds up to a point where there's a good rainfall. It just gets washed down to the next boom and so on and so forth.
And we're talking tons of trash at a time.
Yes. During that MRCTI initiative, the city cleaned out the boom at Carlotta Street, which is behind the Chimes, and they filled up a dump truck with all the material that was in there.
At one spot, a full dump truck.
Correct. And our graduate students went out, and God bless them, they sorted through every piece of trash there and took pictures of it, and we're processing those data to try and understand, what are the products that are contributing to that.
So, the pandemic has been a problem, obviously worldwide for everybody, but it's also not really helped the whole plastics and pollutions issue either, has it?
Yeah, it's been a major factor in the amount of plastic trash that's being generated. I mean, people are staying at home and they're taking takeout food, right? Well, that's delivered in styrofoam containers usually. It's brought to them in plastic bags. So there was just a whole lot more of that packaging waste. But then you add to that the masks and the gloves and the wipes and other material associated with PPE, personal protective equipment, and you create just a massive quantity of plastic waste.
Wow, I'd never thought about it in those kinds of terms. That, oh, by the way, we're making a bigger mess by protecting ourselves.
Yeah, I was when LSU locked down and I was working from home. I'd walk my neighborhood. I'd live just down the street from the station, and I was pretty familiar with the kinds of trash that you see on the streets. And suddenly I started to see surgical gloves and surgical masks, and those were not things that I had seen before.
That's just astounding that, oh, by the way, we're going to take care of ourselves, but we're also going to create a bigger problem. How big really is this problem?
It's enormous. The quantity of PPE that's used every day around the world, and it's a global problem, right? Everyone is wearing masks. It used to be that masks were only really worn in certain countries in the Far East when someone had a cold. Now everyone's wearing them, and people are disposing of them. They're treating them as a disposable item.
And this stuff ends up, you see it in every parking lot in town. Mm-hmm. You see it on the roadsides and in the neighborhoods walking around. So what can individuals do to help fight some of these issues?
Well, when you look at the trends in PPE, we've certainly seen fewer and fewer gloves. I think people have realized that gloves aren't an effective way of protecting yourself against COVID. So people have stopped using those things. And if you're using gloves, stop. Just wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer. If you've got a mask, have a plan for it. I understand someone walks out of a store and they've got a mask and they think it might be contaminated. They don't want to put it in their purse or their pocket or their car. And they look around and they see, oh, there's a few on the ground. I guess it's okay. Someone will pick them up. And so they toss them. So, carry a Ziploc bag with you and put it in your Ziploc bag. And when you get home, you can dispose of it in your trash so it's least contained. You can also wash these masks. You can reuse. They're made of polypropylene. You can wash them, and there have been a number of studies that show that even after 10 washes, these things maintain their filtration efficiency.
Yeah, they're plastic. That's
yeah.
They're not going to break down. We've had that little discussion here. So as far as plastics in general in pollution, what are some of the things that individuals can do to help kind of clean up
clean up the environment. Well, I mean, every piece of litter started with someone handling that material. And so the obvious thing is be more cognizant of what you're using. Try to reduce your use of plastic items. You've got a metal water cup here, or water bottle. Use a reusable bottle. That's going to save you money, and it's going to, every time you use it, you're going to avoid using a plastic product. You can recycle. Make sure that you're putting this stuff into the proper bins. There's only a couple of kinds of plastics that can be effectively recycled here in Baton Rouge. And so don't dump, a styrofoam clamshell into the recycling bin, because it's going to wind up getting broken up in the process of processing all that recycling.
Really?
Yeah. So the MRF that we have, the recycling facility, has conveyor belts, and the things they hate to get in their recyclables are plastic bags. They gum up the gears, styrofoam, fragments. So, a water bottle can be recycled quite efficiently, but a lot of these other plastics can't.
And why is that?
Well, there's just not a market for it. There used to be we used to sell a lot of our recycled plastic to China, but they decided they didn't want it anymore because it wasn't clean enough, it wasn't sorted well enough. And so now there's really only a market for the water bottles, the polyethylene terephthalate, PETE, for high-density polyethylene, so things like milk jugs, and some of the polypropylene.
So these grocery bags, these unbelievably thin pieces of plastic, those can't be recycled?
They can be recycled, and some of the grocery stores you'll see have bins for them. Now, during the pandemic, they didn't want you bringing your own bags into the store.
Right.
And so that was an impediment to recycling. So under certain circumstances, they can be recycled because they're actually made from polyethylene. So they should be recyclable. It's just that the process of recycling those bags is a little different than it is for more solid plastic.
Wow, I guess I just thought plastics can be recycled. All plastics are recyclable plastics. So it's really more about the soft drink bottles.
Yeah.
That's really what only thing anybody wants to recycle nowadays?
Soft drink bottles and anything made of like a milk jug.
Okay. The harder plastics, is that what it is?
It's not really hardness. It's just that those are readily, you can grind them up, melt them down, make new nurdles, and create a new product fairly quickly.
So we have a couple of minutes here left. If you're sitting there, you've got your graduate students in class, and you're gonna talk to them. What's the opening day first lecture going to be about when you're talking about these kinds of things?
One of the things I try to instill in my students, undergrads and graduates, is just start looking for it. Plastics have become so ubiquitous that we don't even notice them. You walk around campus, and we tend to filter out those objects and not notice them. And you asked what can we do? Pick the stuff up. If you see a piece of plastic on the ground and you pick it up, you've prevented that piece of plastic from getting into the Gulf of Mexico, where it's going to stay for 1,000 years. And
so when this stuff does get sent to the recycling, or if it just gets put in the garbage can and it goes out to the landfills,
yeah.
It's at least we know it's going to be taken care of out there.
Mostly. As a colleague of mine, she was involved in MRCTI, Jenna Jambeck at University of Georgia, and she's found that a lot of the waste that gets into the oceans actually comes from mishandled waste. So things that fall out of the back of garbage trucks, things that wash out of landfills. So we do have a containment problem even at that level.
So as a consumer who, everything you buy has some level of plastic in it somewhere, what's the things that we should be doing as consumers to try and help the environment?
Well, plastic bags are a big problem, and bring your own bag.
And just try. And so if you're going to buy plastics, buy something that you can actually recycle.
That would help. I'd say, you can't buy milk in a metal container, so your options are limited.
Mark, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us today. This is, I know you could have gone on for another 2 hours with all of the things that go on with plastics and everything. Closing thoughts?
Well, it was a pleasure. I just hope people in Baton Rouge will start looking around, picking up plastic where they can. Let's turn this city into the beautiful place that it can be.
Really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. Pick up that trash. Don't leave it on the ground. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Good job. Thanks.
That was great.
Enjoyed it. Can I just let myself out?
Yeah, I'm walking down to let the next guest in. This is Jake, our producer. How you doing? That's you. So we're on YouTube here. YouTube Saves Live. So we were. Let's see. So we will be coming in at 7:37 to 7:50. So we got 13 minutes in this segment.
I'm sure I can talk that long.
Oh, I know you can. I know better than that. I did talk. Donnell's going to be reaching back out to you today to talk about what's going on with the conference room and get some help out there and everything. So.
Ryan was not able to get that TV to work yesterday. So.
Yeah. I talked to him as
Not
well.
his area of expertise. He just happened to walk in to deliver something, and Patty caught him.
That's what he said. He's like, yeah, I was he didn't quite say it this way, but I was 30 seconds away from a clean getaway. He was just, I was walking through, and Patty asked me, I said, I hadn't really been trained on that yet. I'll take a look at it and see what I can do, but it was a bit over his head, and we just, because that's not anything that we ever fooled with at MCO, and so we've got to get with Donnell and with Denver and say, okay, get us up to speed over here so we can be supporting these folks after y'all are finished, and that's just something we haven't done yet, but we're doing now. I think it caught the guys a little off guard that, oh wait, y'all did that over there, you didn't tell us, that's been one of the really.
See an accident? Report it at WBRZ Traffic on Twitter.
This report is brought to you by Shawbills, where you can get up to $170 with the purchase of 4 eligible Michelin tires. Visit ShawbillsTire.com to learn more.
Attorney Peyton Murphy has been fighting insurance companies for over 28 years and recently won an $18.9 million verdict for a crash victim. Trust his experience.
naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's. Today's topic, holiday traditions. They're the best. Agree. So I went to Kohl's and got 40% off Cuddle Duds throws for movie night and 40% off outerwear. Ooh, for caroling? More like sledding. Also got an Amazon Echo Show 8 so the kids can bake with grandma. Oh, that's so sweet. That was the extra 25% I saved and the Kohl's cash I got. I take it savings one of your favorite traditions too. You know it. Select styles. Offers end December 8th. Some exclusions apply. Amazon coupons do not apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Hey, it's Dave Ramsey. You can listen to me weekdays live from 1 to 4 p.m. on Talk 107.
Back on.
The new flavor of talk.
This is Haggai Davis. I work for General Informatics, by the way. Thank you, General Informatics, for allowing me to spend some time away from the office and here on the radio with everyone. And right now we are joined by Dave Knipe, who's the CEO of Volunteers of America for the Greater Baton Rouge area. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Haggai. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet. So, for those of everyone out there who does not know or is not aware of, what is the VOA and what do you guys do?
Okay. Well, Volunteers of America started 125 years ago in New York by Maud and Ballington Booth with the mission of to go wherever we're needed and to do whatever comes to hand. In 1921, Volunteers of America opened up operations in Baton Rouge. And if you do the math on that, you'll realize that we're 100 years old this year. And so we basically, from that point, have grown across the I-10 corridor. We now serve Acadiana and southwest Louisiana in addition to the greater Baton Rouge area. We touched and positively impacted over 34,000 individuals in our territory last year. And our range of services go from housing low-income seniors. We house people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We assist those who are experiencing homelessness, who are insecure in their food needs. We work with early childhood centers, across the state, in helping the preschool teachers train the students and prepare them better to start school. We have allowed our services, by placing direct service personnel in the homes, have allowed over 1,000 individuals who are either elderly or have disabilities to remain at home as opposed to being institutionalized or to go into nursing homes. So we touch, and then we also have a very robust program for veterans who are experiencing homelessness, or veterans who are dealing with certain mental health issues, from PTSD to addiction to things of that nature. So we kind of run the gamut. We have vans that do outreach work in the community, particularly for the homeless populations, trying to provide them assistance to find housing, and to provide some job skills, to provide case management for those who have mental health issues that they're struggling with. So we kind of cover the gamut.
That's a pretty wide net of things. I love the can do, will do attitude of just if it needs to be done, we'll do it.
Right.
So obviously y'all are a pretty big organization.
We are. We have a little over 270 employees. We have a budget of $18 million on an annual basis. And like I said, we touched over 34,000 lives last year.
And of your budget, you're not government funded, or you get some grant monies,
Correct.
but you're not. This is not tax dollars that does this.
That's correct. We have contracts with state and local and federal government entities such as Medicaid, where we provide services under those contracts. So we do receive federal and state dollars, but
you're not a government-based
it's
agency.
Not a government.
You're doing it from
organization.
a private. I guess that was the way I was trying to say it. You're
Right.
you're a private agency. You're not a government agency.
Yeah, we're a faith-based nonprofit organization.
And so when your employees are out there, wow, all the way from Baton Rouge to the Texas state line along I-10, you've got, that's obviously a lot of locations where you do a lot of different things.
Right.
Your employees are all across the board, social workers, counselors.
Yes, we have masters in social work. We have counselors, therapists, nurses, RNs, LPNs. We have licensed mental health professionals. We have the direct service personnel, and then on the preschool training side, we have coaches, that go into the daycare centers and actually work directly with the teachers hands-on and provide curriculums and instruction.
Do you have opportunities for people who want to volunteer to help VOA?
For the past 18 months, under the COVID restrictions, we've not been able to use volunteers, but we are now back in the mix. And if you're interested in volunteering, I would encourage you to go to our website, which is voagbr.org, and reach out to our business development marketing group, and they will contact you and see what skill sets you have, where your interests lay, and we'll try to match you up with a program.
That's cool. I love the fact that Volunteers of America actually allows volunteers to come.
Yep.
You don't have to be a professional, employee who works there to actually help you guys have an impact on people.
Correct.
One of the programs you talked about was veterans. We all love, and are so thankful to our veterans for everything they've done. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, we have a home that's kind of near LSU that is transitional housing. So if a veteran's homeless and is experiencing either mental health issues or other issues, we provide transitional housing there where they have a place to stay, their own room. We provide case management to give them life skills, job skills. If they have issues with addiction or PTSD or something of that nature, we get them the help necessary to help get them through that, and work very closely with the Veterans Administration to get these guys, ultimately get them a job and get them permanent housing.
That's great. I love that. That's one of my favorite things that you guys do.
Yeah.
Certainly, the counseling portions are really important in working with those who are challenged in a lot of different ways. But also the working with the kids, the coaching of the kids who are getting ready for preschool. Talk a little bit about what they do.
Okay. So we don't coach the kids. We coach the coaches.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. And this is one of John Bell Edwards' big pushes is trying to get our kids, our young children, better prepared to succeed once they enter school. So we provide curriculum, we provide resources, we provide materials for them to use, in the classroom or in the daycare center. But it's basically just training up or teaching up the teachers who can then do a better job of teaching the children and preparing them to be successful once they hit kindergarten.
And so you've got your certainly Baton Rouge office. You have Lafayette and Lake Charles. I know your Lake Charles office about a year and 4 months ago got a brand new sunroof because of Hurricane Laura.
Right.
Ripped a big hole in your roof. How's Lake Charles? Is you coming back online
Lake
there?
Charles is struggling. We are still in a temporary trailer for our office, but the infrastructure in Lake Charles is still well behind the curve. The federal government is just now pushing dollars into the community to help them reestablish their infrastructure, internet, telephone, those types of services. But the people haven't returned either, so we're being very challenged in hiring staff to come back in and reinstitute the programs that we had over there.
But you are still offering those services.
Yes, we are.
And that's important, that even though the building isn't a building right now, the services still are.
Right.
And I'm so excited that you guys kept that up. You didn't just say, "Okay, sorry, Lake Charles, we're out. We'll check back in a couple of years when you're," because it's important to those folks that you guys continued on with them.
Right. And I mean, we've even posted billboards around town to just let people know, hey, we're still here, we're still working for you. If you need help, call us. If you want to come to work for us, call us. So yeah, we're still an active part of the Southwest Louisiana community.
So most everything you guys have been doing as part of the VOA GBR has been along I-10. Are you branching into other parts of Louisiana?
We do have, well, of course, there are VOA affiliates in North Louisiana and in the New Orleans area, but we do have some child care centers that we work with in the Alexandria area, and then we do some elderly services in the Shreveport, what they call Region 7, which is basically Shreveport, Bossier, where we reach out and do case management with elderly.
Okay, and so, it's really a very enterprise-wide level thing that you're doing, but everything you do is on a micro level with everyone that you interact with.
Yep.
I find that such a fascinating concept, that how you guys offer so many different services to so many different people, so many different ways.
And we like to think we do it very, very well.
I think that's just really awesome. Dave, thank you for spending some time with us here this morning.
Haggai, thank you for the opportunity to make the community aware of what we do.
And so that's Dave Knipe with Volunteers of America of Greater Baton Rouge. If you want to reach out, go to the voagbr.org.
Correct.
And find out more information, because they're a great organization. And this is Haggai Davis. We'll be back in just a few minutes with some more Mornings with Haldane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope I did all right.
Oh, it was perfect. That was absolutely perfect.
Good to meet you.
So this next one, we're going to have a live read, and then are we doing the outside in?
If you'd like, yeah.
I mean, do you have something for it?
Oh, I can find something.
If you can, let me know.
Oh, sure.
But if you're going to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to structure this.
Let's see.
We have to do the live read. I could just do the live read right after this, and then put a bump with leading you in. And then if you want to do the outside in, we'll do the bump. But it's a longer bump. Just like
Yeah, no, it's fine. You do the live read, and so after the live read, it's going to be how long of a segment?
3.
4 minutes?
No, it should be like. No, because it is 2.5. It's gonna be like less than 4 minutes.
That's fine. We'll just do the live replay, the Inside Out song, Outside In, whatever. And there's a couple stories that we can talk about. How we doing out there? YouTube haven't checked in. All right, so word of the day. Nurdles. Nurdles just sounds like it should have been a character on Star Trek or something.
It is a fun word.
Yeah, and it's really not a good thing.
No.
It,
But hopefully it makes you remember it and then remember what it actually means, and hopefully you have something to do about it.
yeah.
Hopefully. Strange times.
Very much.
You definitely know more than me. I was kind of born in this.
I'm a little older, a little more experiences.
Just a little. I don't know. You act a lot younger than Brian does. Brian, I love Brian. But
Oh, yeah. So what are you, 25?
22.
22?
Yeah.
So you and my youngster are the same age.
Wow. I bet that makes you feel weird.
No, not at all. I mean, to me, you're an adult. I mean, I don't care how old you are. You're a professional, and you know, I'm going to work with you if you're 22 or 62. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I
know.
appreciate that because not everybody is like that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't do me any good to treat you like, hey, little kid, I know more than you. I mean, that's not going to do me any good. It's not going to do you any good.
It definitely isn't.
Because you're going to have to, you know, run this world here pretty soon. Because, you know, when I start getting older, I want people to be able to run the place the way my kids can have a decent world to live in too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to make sure that you got to teach the kids and let them lead the way, you know, to quote the old song.
All right, so we're going to have about 30 seconds left on traffic. I'm going to play that live read. And do you want to do the outside in?
Sure.
All right, do you want me to just bump you in, then you talk, then you intro the outside in, then bump, or do you want me to just hit the outside in bump immediately?
Either way. Yeah, do the live read, and then I'll say now it's time for the outside in.
Okay. Wait, so do you want me to start with some music,
Yeah.
lead you in, and then I'll do, okay.
As much time as we can kill.
Okay. You made it sound like you had plenty to talk about.
No.
You got about 4 minutes.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back once again. This is Haggai Davis, sitting in for Brian Haldane. Most of you know me from the Cup of Tech Gumbo on Friday mornings, and also Tech Gumbo you hear on the weekends. But right now, we're going to do the Outside In. Well, we're going to go to Livingston Parish, DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, and law enforcement apparently dropped the ball in a Livingston child sex abuse case. They're based upon this John Mack, this an abuser. They during the legislative committee hearing, they were, apparently there may have been some more things they could have done, and they didn't do everything they were supposed to do, allegedly. We'll see how that plays out, but that didn't look good. Another over in Livingston Parish, a district attorney recused himself from a child rape case, citing political connections to a defendant. District Attorney Scott Paraloo submitted a recusal due to politically sensitive nature of the case, referencing claims from the Baton Rouge NAACP and other justices that could be compromised because the people in the Mack family hold political positions, namely Representative Sherman Mack and his brother, Livingston Parish Councilman Shane Mack, were both nephews of John Mack. And so he's recused himself of doing anything with this case. We also got about a minute left here. We have another story. We're trying to find it. Apologize, everyone. Stumbling around because I clicked on the wrong thing.
Technology for you.
Yes. When you're just trying to act like you know what you're doing, but you really don't. When you're just filling in for the professionals because you're the hobbyist who's doing a radio show, it's just what you can do.
Hey, you're doing great, Haggai.
Well, I try. I mean, I love doing Tech Gumbo. I love being in the IT world, working for General Informatics, helping people with their IT around South Louisiana. And radio is just a fun hobby. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to talk a lot more when we get back. Right now we're doing commercials.
Nice. Cool. We're doing good.
I had another story I was going to do, and I just lost it.
Yeah, I thought it was right for me to...
Oh, it was perfect. No, it was perfect for you to jump in, and thank you for bailing me out. That's what you need to be doing over there. It's like, okay, he's drowning. Here's a lifeline.
I got the best.
Uh-huh. Throw the rope. Help save a drowning host. Let's see. So you're doing this day in history?
Yes. There is a live read as well.
Perfect.
So, hey.
I'm sorry, Rob. Honestly, quick question. Is the same traffic running over and over? I feel like my ducks aren't coming through.
I haven't noticed, honestly.
Try to do me a favor and try to keep it here. Because mine only run like twice an hour, but yours run every 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to have a live read. But we'll do that at the back end. The thing is, well, hold on. According to the show sheet, We don't have anything slated for 8:15, right?
No, not right now.
We don't?
No.
So we don't have an interview to worry about?
Nope.
Okay, so then it's okay if we go over a little bit.
Oh, please do.
We always go over.
Way over.
Every single time. We try, we fail, it happens.
No.
So you don't have to worry about it, but as soon as I'm done with this day in history, that's when we're cutting to commercial.
Perfect.
Cool beans. Actually, okay. So, for some reason, whenever they fill out the stack, they never put an indicator for live reads for the third hour. Don't know why, but we have 2 left. We'll do one at the back end of this this coming segment, and then we'll do one at the end of the next segment as well at 8:30. Because then we have an interview after that, if I'm not mistaken. But that should be good. Just want to give you a heads up.
Okay.
So at the end of the segment, just to make sure, whenever I'm like done with all my stuff, I'm gonna be like, that is this day in history. And then you're gonna be like, thanks for the segment, yada yada. We're gonna get to quick commercial break. Up next, whatever, and then commercials. Last hour. You're going to talk for a little bit, tell me this day in history, and then we'll go.
Okay, everybody, welcome back once again This is Haggai Davis II, sitting in for Brian Haldane, who is off today and tomorrow. And it's about this time every day that we do This Day in History.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. If not, hopefully it gets better. We're going to start things off in 1882. The Amsterdam Artis Zoo opens an aquarium. 1882.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. I don't know what the facilities might have been like for those animals in 1882, but I mean, I'm sure the Industrial Revolution was in full swing at the time. 1901. King C. Gillette begins selling safety razor blades. You may or may not have heard of them. It's Gillette. I mean, everyone.
Yeah, Gillette. May have scraped the face with one of those a time or two.
Yeah, give or take. 1927, the first Model A Ford sold. Guess how much? For $385.
I'm surprised it was that much.
I mean, that was definitely a lot of money back in the day, but now that's like...
That's a down payment.
That's
a monthly. That's a car note.
It's like a chunk of rent in some places. 1941, Japanese Marshal Admiral Yamamoto sends his fleet to Pearl Harbor. This was the order, not the attack. The attack actually happened on the 7th. I'll probably cover it then if it's not on a weekend. But yeah, that happened in 41. 1952, the first human birth televised to public on a KOA-TV in Denver, Colorado. That must have been a tough watch.
Yes.
Can you imagine coming back from your 9 to 5, you got your dinner with your wife and kids, you just all huddled around the TV, the diner table, and you turn on to channel, what, 1 of 3? And
if 3.
That's what you're treated to. That must have been tough.
Having witnessed 2 births as a father, it's pretty amazing to see. I don't know that I would really want to see someone else's birth.
It probably wouldn't have the same emotional impact.
It doesn't. I mean, it's more of a biology experience at that point as opposed to the birth of your child.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone willingly tuning into that unless, that's just something that interests you. To that, I say good for you. 1972. In one of the... Are you a big baseball fan?
Yes.
Okay, so then you'll know this a lot more than I do. In 1972, in one of the worst trades, the Yanks get Rich McKinney for Stan Banson. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Bonson. Excuse me. So, would you say that's one of the most lopsided trades ever?
Oh.
Because they're saying it is.
It may have been at the time. There's certainly been some bigger trades since then.
Okay. 1984, we're going to be talking about some football now.
There might have been a trade involved the Bambino that might have been a little bit bigger news.
Fair enough. But that'll be on a different day in history, most
likely.
Yeah,
that was also 50 years prior to that. But that's okay.
Going to football now, 1984, Miami quarterback Dan Marino breaks the NFL single-season touchdown pass record when he throws his 37th in the Dolphins' 45-34 loss to the Raiders. He finishes the season with 48 touchdown passes. Shattered the record, apparently. If he breaks the record with his 37th, he scores 11 more.
Yeah.
It's one heck of a season. Joe Burrow's better, though.
Oh, he is now. Joe Burrow wasn't born at the time.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's the best. 1985, also sticking to football, Chicago Bears head coach Mike Ditka and defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan almost come to blows at halftime in a 38-24 loss to the Miami Dolphins at the Orange Bowl. In Miami, that was Chicago's only loss of the NFL season.
Yep. That was the refrigerator Perry, Brian, refrigerator, what's the word? Oh, never mind. Perry.
It's yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 documentaries on that team. It's a very
they were
team.
dominant as a defense. They were an amazing team to watch.
It's incredible to hear their story. And it's funny that the only time they lost that season, they almost fought each other. That's
how good.
That's
they
good
were.
TV right there.
Well, they were two very passionate people, shall we say.
Yeah. 1988, ESPN airs its 10,000th edition of SportsCenter, making it the most televised cable program in history. 10,000th in 1988. I can only imagine what that number is by now.
They've already done a show with 25,000 and 50,000.
Jeez. That's all the events I got. Let's get right down to the birthdays. First
right.
up, we have Britney Spears turning 40.
Oh, well.
Happy birthday to her. Aaron Rodgers, 38 years old. Probably his last season. Well, no, it's definitely his last season as a Packer. Don't know where he'll be going, but it'll be an interesting offseason, that's for sure.
Might be the Saints quarterback next year.
Depends on if the cap space works, but we'll see. We'll see. We can dream. Also, his duo in Green Bay, his running back Aaron Jones, turns 27.
Nice.
Very nice player indeed. Juice WRLD, he is, well, you may not know him that much, but he was born in the same year as I was. He's a rapper that sadly passed away a few years ago, but he was born on this day in 1998.
Okay.
And finally, the last birthday I have, Gianni Versace, born on this day in 1946. You may or may not have heard of, the clothing and brand empire that Versace is.
Yes, and there's actually a movie out right now about the whole thing.
Yes, I've been meaning to see it. I've heard some of it's good, some of it's not. But
So you missed Alexander Haig was born on this day in history.
Who is that?
Alexander Haig was the Secretary of Defense during when Reagan was shot, when Reagan was president. He's the one who famously went to the microphone and said, "I'm in charge," when constitutionally he was about fifth or sixth in line. The vice president obviously was, because Reagan was under anesthesia, he'd been shot, but Haig wanted to say, "It's okay, I'm in charge." He was just trying to kind of let everybody be calm. Everything's okay. We're under control. But he was factually very inaccurate.
Huh. That's crazy that he just do that. Like,
well,
taking command of the situation, I guess. Props to him.
When everyone's losing their mind, the person who keeps control stays in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what was happening. Everyone was losing their mind because the president was just shot. And it was a very, very chaotic few hours. And so having somebody stand up and present a stabilizing force was not a bad thing, but it was not the right thing to do.
Fair. No deaths to report. Those are all the birthdays that I had. I have 3 holidays to tell you about. You feeling festive today, Haggai?
I'm sorry?
You feeling festive today?
Very festive, always.
Wonderful. It's Christmas time, but it's not just Christmas time. It is Let's Hug Day.
I love hugs.
You a hugger?
I'm a hugger.
Good. I love hugs. That's the best way to meet people.
Absolutely.
Unless you smell. No, I'm just kidding. Just shower. It's also National Bartender Day.
Okay.
Make yourself a drink, or have a drink made for you for an overpriced fee. It's also Make a Gift Day.
Nice.
It's very nice. That is this day in history.
It's also National Mutt Day.
Mutt Day?
National Mutt Day.
Like M-U-T-T?
Like it's in the dog?
Yeah.
Or in the IT world, we call them hybrids. We don't call them mutts.
That sounds very on brand.
We had a dog who he had 4 or 5 different lines of running through him, and everyone always called him a mutt, and I said, no, he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid dog. Because that's the world I live in.
Makes him sound way better.
Yeah, he was a cool dog too. I mean, he lived to be almost 16 years old. He was a great dog.
Wow.
Ranger.
That's his name?
That was his name, yeah, Ranger.
Ranger.
Yeah, he was a great dog. Miss Ranger. But that's what happens.
Shout out Ranger.
There you go. So, when we next come back, we're going to talk a little bit about tech gumbo. We'll do a little cup of tech gumbo kind of thing and have some conversation about that. We're also going to spend some time at the bottom of the hour talking about what's going on at the Franciscan Ministries, the FranU, and what's going on with the nursing school. Miss Tina Holland's going to join us and learn what's happening over there. Are we done here?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to wrap up and go to commercial break. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
for next time, yeah. Whenever I'm done with this day in history, if you have any closing comments, then make them. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the end.
Oh,
of
okay.
That segment. It's all good. We don't have an
Just
interview.
just
so
just
we're
give
good.
me this break when you're ready for me to go, because if I don't see that, I don't know that I wasn't. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
Trust me. Usually, I'm on the other side of this conversation, so I totally understand. I'm gonna get. We have a couple. We have like 2 minutes left. I'm gonna get some water real quick.
Go ahead. Let's play the Cup of Tech Gumbo introduction for this.
Okay.
And then we'll do a little mini version of what's coming up on Tech Gumbo this week.
Okay. Sounds good. Wait a sec. Audience, I hope you enjoyed that.
There you go. We did that just for you guys out there in YouTube land. How much did I pay for my Model T? Oh, that's right. Thank you, Galen. Alexander Haig was Secretary of State, not Secretary of Defense. But he was still fourth or fifth in line to.
Yeah. I don't know. In the heat of the moment, the person that calms you the situation down is more often than not the person you want staying in charge for the time being, like for just that specific situation.
Yeah, I mean it was
I'm not saying he should be going to work the next day and sit in the Oval Office, but
Yeah.
in that moment, someone needs to take charge.
The cameras were rolling, and he jumped out and said, "It's okay, I got this," and hey, he was more really talking to Russia and China. You can't attack us right now because we are, is what he was trying to say to our enemies out there. But it was he overstepped his bounds.
Do you think the intentions were pure? Or?
Oh no, yeah, very much.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. He.
So do you give that a little bit leeway, or do you? Think
Oh yeah, no. He certainly he got a pass. I mean, there was I don't fault him for anything that he did that day, because I mean he was doing what he thought needed to be done because the president had just been shot, so we didn't know, was this an all-out attack? Was this going to be an assault? There was a lot of. This was long before the days of Twitter and and
I can't
social
imagine what would
media.
have happened if social media existed.
And
president gets shot.
Yeah, and so now, when back then you had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and CNN was just brand new.
Yeah.
So that was it as far as information.
We're about to go live.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this conversation though.
I like that song. That's our theme song
I
for
do too.
Tech Gumbo. So, as most of you know, I'm here on Friday mornings when we do a cup of Tech Gumbo, because I also am the co-host of Tech Gumbo. Airs every Saturday at 4 o'clock and also Sundays at 4 o'clock here on Talk 107.3 FM, brought to you by Cardinal Capital and by General Informatics. Do very much appreciate both of the sponsors for our show. This week's Tech Gumbo, we're going to talk. There's one of the stories we found. More than a third of women in the technology arena are very much considering leaving the technology field somewhere in the next 2 years. And this was a really troubling story to me because there's not enough women in the IT world already. And when you start seeing women wanting to leave, you start wondering why. And unfortunately, the story didn't really give a whole lot of reasons why. It just, kind of was stating out the obvious that there's not enough women who are in the IT space or in the technology field, and they don't always feel welcome, and that's a bad thing. We're going to talk about ransomware on Tech Gumbo this week. One of the things that we're going to talk about is if you get hit with ransomware, the first thing you do is don't tell the hackers out there that you have ransomware insurance. When you start negotiating with them as to how much you can pay, if they're telling you, hey, look, we want 100 bitcoins, which at this point is about $3 million or something like that. If you say, well, look, my insurance policy, my cybersecurity insurance policy will only pay $500,000, don't do that. Don't let them know you have an insurance policy, because the first thing they're going to say is, okay, well, how much we'll take that. Do yourself a favor and reach out to your IT company immediately. You may need to get law enforcement involved. Have your attorneys involved. There's a lot of things that you need to think about when ransomware happens, and giving too much information. Don't take your cards and lay them out on the table when you're holding a bunch of aces in your hand. Don't share that information. There's a bill that's coming up in the House of Representatives. It's the Stop Grinch Bots Act. So if you're not aware, there's some of these folks who use bots or robots, if you will, that when a website is going to have, let's say, 1,000 Xboxes or 500 PlayStations that are going to come available, and they're going to go on sale at 8 a.m. Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. These bots will just sit there and hit the website, and they'll buy all 500 of them inside the first 30 seconds. So then they turn around, they get these bots, and then, magically they're going to appear on eBay or some other site, and where it was $500 when at the original website, now they're selling them for $750 or $900 or whatever it's worth. And so they're trying to create a law that's going to help stop these Grinch bots, if you will. And especially this time of year when the holiday season, that's important. But it also comes into play with concerts and things like that. So, mentioned earlier, Garth Brooks is coming to town. If these bots go out and buy, 500 or 1,000 tickets right away, and then start selling them on secondary markets at an increased rate, that's not a good thing. And so I like the fact when legislators are trying to put together laws that are going to actually help the consumers. Going to be interesting to see how they could actually pull this off. I don't know. I have skeptical views as to whether or not they will be able to pull it off, but we'll see. Another story we found, the FBI likes when you use WhatsApp or iMessage, those different types of things, when they need information and they show up at the Facebook headquarters with a warrant for all of your data from WhatsApp. Facebook gives that information up right away. So everything you've ever put on WhatsApp or Messenger or any one of those kind of platforms, if you've done something that's gotten the FBI's attention, they're going to give that information up. So, we say it all the time on the show. If you put something on the internet, it is there forever. And messenger services, they are forever. They are real. So don't go typing things that shouldn't be typed, or you don't want to come back to you at some point in history, because it will come back. We talked a lot about Apple and how they got fined for being aggressive with personal data in Italy. If you're not familiar, in Europe they have the GDPR, General Data Protection Registry, which allows you to have control of your data. If you want to know what Facebook is doing with your data before they can sell your data, you can tell, no, I want to opt out of that in Twitter and all the social media platforms. Well, Apple and Google as well didn't do a very good job, and so they got fined pretty heavily for not playing nicely with people's information. Another big story, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, one of the co-founders of Twitter, stepped down as CEO this week. Jack Dorsey's had somewhat of a turbulent career in running Twitter. When Twitter first started back in 2007, he was the CEO for about a year and a half, and he was dismissed as CEO. And another guy steps in, Mr. Costolo. He ran the company for about a decade. He steps down in 2015. Then Jack Dorsey's back in as CEO, and then Twitter sells out to a private equity firm, and the private equity firm doesn't like some of the things and the moves that Dorsey's making, and they have a very turbulent back and forth for several years until this week he just said, okay, that's it. I don't need this anymore. I'm stepping down. I got other things I can go do. And so now there's a new guy, Parag Agrawal. He's the new CEO at Twitter. He was the chief technology officer at Twitter. This guy's really, really bright individual, and mostly going to do a lot of the same things that you've been seeing. He was instrumental in creating what's being called Twitter Blue. For those of you who want, when you see a lot of the news links to Washington Post stories, the Atlantic stories, things like that, for $3 a month, you can sign in to Twitter Blue, which allows you to click on those links and go through the paywall to where you can see the stories that are posted. And when you get to the Washington Post, there's no ads. When you get to the Atlantic, there's no ads. Now, you don't get to see everything on the Washington Post. You only get to see what's on that story. And so that's kind of cool. If you, for $3 a month, I mean, I love Twitter. I love using Twitter to get news. And I think that them trying to offer a service to allow you to not have to worry about the paywalls and all these different news sites, and just you can see the articles that they want you to see or that you want to see, I think is kind of cool. So Twitter Blue, that's a thing that's out there. And Spotify is making a big play towards having their own audio versions of Instagram or TikTok. They want creators to make music and audio clips so they don't just have to depend upon record labels to put out music. That's what's going on Tech Gumbo this week. When we get back, we're going to talk about FranU. You're listening to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Byron, he's had all kind of interesting looks. Jack Dorsey is a very, very... If you've never seen pictures of this guy or seen some of the things he's done, I mean, he's only worth about $12 billion, you know.
With a M or a
B?
B.
$12 billion. Oh, he has 16 million shares of Twitter stock. Trading at about $42 a share right now. So, yeah, you can do the math. That's $750 million just in Twitter. But he was one of the co-founders of Square, the digital payment. You know, you swipe the little square things, and now they take payments and everything. So he's stepping down as CEO of Twitter because he's been CEO of Square as well.
Busy man.
Yeah, and you know that's also part of what's been going on with the frustrations of the board at Twitter, that you can't do both. You
Yeah.
pick one, and so he picked Square.
Well, he still kept all the
Oh yeah, he didn't selling off all of his shares, no, or he may at some point if he wants to.
He could. I mean, either way, he's gonna make money.
Well, there's because of the SEC, there's only so many shares he can sell at a time, and things he has to do. He has to publicly announce when he's doing anything.
That would be a massive transfer.
Yeah, and I'm not a financial guy. I don't know all of that kind of stuff. That's outside of my world. But I just know that when you got that many shares of a stock, you can't just run down to the brokerage firm and say, "Hey, let's go ahead and sell 100,000 shares."
Can I get that in cash as well, please?
You know, you've got to announce in advance and tell people why you're doing stuff with them, and that's another one of those reasons why I don't want to be worth $12 billion, because I don't want somebody telling me what I can and can't do with.
The amount of restraints I can imagine people try and put on you, even though you have all this money, just because, well, it's just that absurd of an amount.
You know, I'd be willing to give it a try, just to learn, to have that experience, to know what having $12 billion is like.
I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know, how long into living that life would you realize that it's not for you, if it is not for you?
Oh, I think it would be pretty obvious pretty quick.
Define pretty quick, because I feel like the first week you'd have the time of your life.
Oh, within a month, maybe 6 months at the most, you would know, because the things you've been doing, you know, if you run down to Jimmy John's to grab a sandwich, well, you're not going to Jimmy John's to get a sandwich anymore when you get
You're
12
buying the Jimmy John's.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to fly to New York to go get a sandwich.
You fly in some pizza from
You
New
know,
York or Chicago.
or whatever. You're gonna go to City Club if you're even gonna stay in Baton Rouge.
At this point, I wouldn't. I mean, you're a billionaire. You could go anywhere.
Well, I mean, I would still live in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge has been my home.
Well, that's
I mean,
fair.
It's
I would definitely travel the world.
I would. Oh,
I would
yeah.
see every single corner of this planet.
I would do a lot more traveling, but I'm still going to come back here. Let's see. So the phone should be ringing here soon. Hopefully.
We have one live read left. We'll do that at the last segment. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Tina should be calling momentarily.
If you had an unlimited amount of money, where's the first place you'd go?
To the sailboat store to buy a big 55-foot sailboat.
Yeah. Enjoy going out on the water?
Oh, I love sailing. I've been a sailor most of my life.
Oh.
Sailing is so relaxing to me. I love being on a boat and spending a lot of money going nowhere slowly.
Yeah. Well, I
To
don't.
not have the roar of that engine in the background, just you and the wind and the waves.
Yeah.
It's the best stuff.
I can kind of relate to that, even though I don't sail. But my family now lives on the east coast of Florida, right on the water.
Oh, nice.
And they got a boat, and it's very peaceful. So I say I'm from Texas, and I'm also from Florida because I was mostly raised in Texas, but my
What
roots,
part of Texas?
Dallas,
Okay.
DFW.
My dad was born in Denton.
Oh, I lived it's in that county. That's cool. But yeah, now that they're living in Florida, whenever I go home to see my family, it's there, which...
You actually lived in Denton County?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So there's a school in the city of Denton, the Lester A. Davis School. It's the last stop before you go to prison school. My grandfather donated the land, and it was originally just a public school, but it had closed after a while. But they reopened it in the early 2000s as this last stop before going to prison school, where they take, you're 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a fourth grade education. They work with you to teach you how to get you up to speed, closer to the grade level where you're supposed to be, so you can try and get some kind of an education instead of spending the rest of your life in prison.
So homeroom doesn't become down the street.
Yes.
If she doesn't call in anytime soon, then we just got to carry this segment
Mhm.
until. If she calls in, though, then I'll patch her through and we'll go. But if not, we just got to talk about something. We can talk about whatever. All right. I'm going to put up weather, and we're going to be leading ourselves in shortly.
There she is.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to start leading in. Talk 107.3. Good morning, Tina. How are you? Doing well, thanks. We're about to be live right now. You ready for us? Wonderful. I'm going to patch you through and we'll get you on.
Okay, everybody, welcome back once again. This is Haggai Davis. I know you're out there saying, that's not Brian Haldane's voice. Nope, it's me, it's Haggai, sitting in for Brian today and tomorrow. And right now, we're going to be joined by Miss Tina Holland. Tina is the CEO, I think. Tina, are you the CEO? Is that your title there at FranU? Tina?
Of Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady University, affectionately known as FranU.
Right, and so Tina is going to spend some time with us. Full disclosure, I enjoy having lunch with Tina on a regular basis at the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge. It's a lot of fun there. So Tina, tell us a little bit about, FranU. What is the big picture of what you guys really do?
Certainly. I appreciate that opportunity. FranU used to be the Our Lady of the Lake School of Nursing that started, 100 years ago nearly. In a couple of years, we'll be celebrating our 100-year anniversary. It started as the nursing school that the sisters set up to train nurses for their first hospital at St. Francis up in Monroe. And then it was housed in the Our Lady of the Lake Hospital here in Baton Rouge. And then later, fast forward many, many years, it became a School of Nursing and Allied Health. And then back in the 80s, it was accredited as a college of nursing and allied health. And fast forward yet further, 2016, we became a university with programs ranging from the associate's degree through the doctoral degree in nursing, allied health, and arts and sciences. So it has become a pretty complex institution with three schools, the School of Nursing, School of Health Professions, and the School of Arts and Sciences. And then enrollment of about 1,400.
Wow.
The majority of whom are clinical healthcare workers, and growing number of graduate level, what we call advanced practice providers, nurse practitioners, PAs, physical therapists, that level of health profession, and of course the flagship undergraduate nursing program.
So let's talk about that nursing program, because there's kind of a nursing shortage out there, isn't there?
Yes, it's a national nursing shortage, but especially critical here in Louisiana. And that shortage is, doesn't have any easy answers. It's not like a, industrial model production line that you can just train up professionals and put them out into the marketplace. There's just a lot of complex issues having to do with the environment in which they're working. COVID has a lot to do with the tremendous demand for nurses. The requirement for the vaccine is not something that was as readily accepted as one might have expected among health professionals. It's interesting to me to see that, but so be it. And the work environment is not an easy thing for nurses.
So when
and
you
then on
say,
top of it,
when you say
go
there's
ahead.
a shortage, like are we like in the Baton Rouge area? Do we need 50 nurses, 500, 5,000? What's the number of like just in our general area?
Well, I can say that there's one leading hospital that's got over 200 openings right now.
Wow.
For nurses, and and that's a local hospital. But what they're doing is they're filling them with what they call contract nurses, which drive up the cost of health care because they're so expensive. Because not only do you pay the salary of the nurse, you pay the contractor who has to get their cut, of course. So these travel nursing is becoming, quite the gig, so to speak. But there's, there are a lot of I think, opportunities, and one of them is for some of our healthcare providers to understand, that when you hire a nurse at whatever level they are, whether they're actually bachelor's trained or whether they're coming in as LPNs, or even if they're not quite nurses yet, they're entering in as like certified nursing assistants, to understand that we have to invest in those folks and grow them through the career ladder in nursing, because a nurse isn't a nurse isn't a nurse. There are all levels of nursing, and the bedside nurse is no longer going to be the bedside nurse for the rest of her life or his life anymore. They're looking for ways to advance, and I think the hiring organizations need to really buy into that and work with the colleges and universities to partner in growing a fluid line of nurses and other health professionals, not just hire them in and eat them in that one position, and expect to keep them there forever.
And you
You've
guys
gotta
also
move 'em along.
you also do continuing education for nurses and medical professionals, don't you?
Yes, and in fact, that's becoming the norm. A nurse will often enter at a particular level, and then while they are continuing to practice, also work toward the next level of licensure. So we have a number of practicing bachelor's prepared nurses who are now working for their nurse practitioner.
Awesome. So you also mentioned the allied health professionals. There's a big demand for that as well, isn't there?
Oh, much greater than folks realize, because, so often when you hear about healthcare, and this is a problem in the schools as well, is we only hear about nurses and doctors. Well, there is such a broad array of opportunities for professions in healthcare. And in fact, the demand is tremendous for folks who can do respiratory therapy, X-ray techs, radiological technologists, laboratory scientists, laboratory techs, pharmacists, pharm techs, professionals in all of the allied health areas, but at all the different levels within those areas. There's tremendous demand. And what we're finding in both the 2-year and 4-year schools is we have spaces. It's not a capacity issue so much, is the ability to recruit students into these programs because they're very rigorous. They require, quite high level of understanding in math and sciences in order to be successful, but they don't pay very well in certain areas of the country, and particularly in Louisiana. So we're seeing sort of artificially low salaries for some of these fields, and it doesn't take much for the student to go to a neighboring state and earn significantly more for the same certificate or degree.
So when someone is out there thinking about getting into nursing or one of the allied health professions, what kind of education background are you looking for in that student?
Sure. In our level, at the bachelor's degree level, and in one of our programs is an associate's level, a rad tech, and the other is the physical therapy assistant. We are looking for students with aptitude in math and science. Now, they don't have to be brilliant, but their GPAs in math and science should be approaching the 3.0, and they should have the not just the aptitude, but the desire to work very hard. And even if their background is weak, if they're willing to do the kind of work that and take advantage of the support that we can provide to play some catch up, they could be successful. So they definitely need to be successful in a 4-year high school college prep program, and be ready to take college level math and science classes.
So we got about a minute left. So what you're saying is you don't have to be that 4.0 student, but
no.
you got to have more than a pulse just to walk in.
Absolutely. You've got to have some basic, college preparatory competencies, and then we'll work with you.
And then you do it in a faith-based environment of healthcare professionals there at FranU.
Yes, absolutely, and that makes a difference in the kind of healthcare provider that graduates from here.
That's so cool. I really love your mission and what you guys are doing for our community, and just want to say thanks.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve the community, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity to share with the audience a little bit about FranU.
How does somebody find out about you? Where's your website?
Oh, just go to the website, www.franu.edu. It's that simple.
Perfect. Thanks, Tina, and we'll be back in just a few minutes here on Talk 107.3 FM. Perfect.
I'm just going to put the library right after this, and then we'll have to send it to whatever.
Omicron, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mu, Nu, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Tau, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. I was. Yes. Who knew that all those years ago, being in a fraternity, being a pledge, being made to learn the Greek alphabet would prepare me to know about coronavirus strains.
Well, here's the real question that we all want to know. Did you ham it up in college?
By ham it up, was I larger than life and a drunken fool? Yes.
Wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted to know.
Oh yeah, I was one of those. I managed to cram that 4-year program into 6 years.
Mm.
I had more fun at LSU than most people have in a lifetime. And
Nice.
in 6 years, I missed 4 football games, 4 away games.
Dang.
We were road trip kings. I didn't go to USC. I didn't go to either time LSU went to Notre Dame, and I didn't go to I think it was the Liberty Bowl, because that was Christmas Eve, and my mom threatened to cut me off if I didn't come home for Christmas.
You had to make a call there.
But every other game, I went to the Orange Bowl, Music City Bowl. I went to all kind of independent, all
So
kind of
you've
bowl
traveled
games.
a lot.
Oh, and look, this was back when the SEC only had 12 schools, I think. It was before South Carolina and Arkansas, and there may have only been 10 schools. Not because it was long before A&M and Missouri. So yeah, I guess it was 10 schools back then. But yeah, we went to every school, and it was fun. I learned more in doing that kind of stuff at LSU, not in a classroom, than I learned in a classroom.
That's something I can relate to, being fresh out of college. Granted, I learned a lot in class because my major is what I'm doing right now, even though it was mostly TV related. A lot of it's translating to this. Most of what I learned came from either teaching myself or learning from my peers.
All right, so what are we going to do? We got 4 minutes here?
Yeah, we got the rest of this segment, or this ad break. We have, it looks like 2.5 minutes here, then another minute, so 3.5 minutes. We're going to have about a little less than 3 minutes to just wrap up the show. Just talk about whatever, or you can preview what's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that usually does the trick. I have so much time, I might as well. I'm so annoyed I messed up that I didn't turn on the pot to get her audio on air. I'm trying to find a way to doctor it together, and it's not working.
When in doubt, ask Cade.
I don't want to ask you about that right now.
Ask Charles. Chuck is.
Oh, Chuck.
Yeah.
No, it's just a matter of finding the right time.
I have found throughout my career, when I don't know something, I ask people who do know. Hey, Cade.
Oh, is this what I'm bringing to the live? Okay. Do I need?
Did you ever get a vacuum or anything, or any part of one?
I didn't get a vacuum, but I swept up a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I broke a glass. I don't know if it fell off. I'm not sure what fell off, but
It's a celebratory thing.
no, did everything but jump over the broom. After, yeah.
Cade, real quick. That's the only thing I gotta bring.
Yeah.
Bo's bringing the.
Just a check, but that should be all I need.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. 1 minute, and then we're back in.
Got to remember what's the password for the guest Wi-Fi.
I don't think I've ever connected to the Wi-Fi here.
I just upgraded to the new iPhone 13, and it didn't bring over my passwords.
Last segment, and then we'll talk shop.
All right, everybody. Welcome back once again as we finish out the morning here. Hope I haven't destroyed the show too very much. After starting off before we ever went on air, breaking a glass that fell off of...
it was quite the start.
Yeah, you know, one of the glasses from the afternoon guys that, you know, with all of the...
Hopefully
the fun.
It wasn't one they liked.
I know. That's what I'm kind of worried about.
I would try and remember which one it was, but it's in a million pieces, so...
Yeah.
They'll just
Sorry.
have to- yeah. Jay, if you look back at this, we apologize.
Yeah. Jay, Chuck, sorry, guys. That one's on me. I was looking for headphones, and I'm not even sure how I hit it because I didn't...
I think it was on top of the banner right there. When
Maybe
you lifted
so.
It up, maybe it fell.
So,
know.
I know everyone's
Folks
thrilled to
don't
hear me
guess.
talking about
Yeah.
breaking glass. Sorry, folks.
That's riveting stuff.
It's compelling radio. Has everyone on the edge of their seats.
The big bucks right there.
Just reaching for that button to push to no, you're not leaving Talk 107.3. You love us. We're a great radio station. And we have a lot of fun.
I'd say so.
I mean, so we've had a great time today. We, you know, talked with Carmen Million from the Better Business Bureau, Mark Benfield from LSU talking about the plastics in the river, Dave Knipe was here to talk a lot about what the VOA does, and we had Miss Tina Holland from FranU. So that was a pretty packed day for today.
I would say so. What we got in store for tomorrow?
So tomorrow we're going to have an update on what's going on with the taxes and what's happening out there. And we're going to have some other surprises. Got a couple of things I need to confirm. I don't want to give it all away yet, but it's going to be a good show.
Moral of the story is tune in from 6 to 9. Talk
Tune in
107.3
tomorrow.
mornings.
That's
Haggai
right.
Davis.
That's right.
Instead of Brian Haldane for this one.
That's right. Haggai Davis from General Informatics. General Informatics for all your IT needs. Give us a call, GENINF.com. And we're also in Tech Gumbo is brought to you by Cardinal Capital at cardinalcap.net. And we'll see you tomorrow here on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP.
Sweet. All right, I'll do the intro or the outro for YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. We'll be back again tomorrow. Me and Haggai will be doing exactly what happened today, except even better. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. We'll
Thanks,
catch you later.
YouTube. Bye.